Hello race fans, and welcome to round 1 of the Gr.4 series hosted by the GTRC here at Suzuka International Circuit. The GTRC does a standing start with the false start check turned on, so you will get penalized should you jump the start. So as we start this race, you can see that the sky is quite gloomy out there. That's because it was raining earlier. Even though the track does look to be mostly dry, the edges, I'm pretty sure, are quite wet. Currently, I find myself in 11th place, but that's not... no, scratch that. Make that 10th. It didn't appear that anyone had helped him in that loop. It looked like he did that all on his own, just a victim of circumstances. You've got to be careful with those rumble strips under wet conditions. Coming through the S's, it does look like the drivers are giving each other room, which is great. That Lexus in front of me is being driven by Gr.4, my rival. He is incredibly fast. During the off-season, Doug and I have had some really close racing, neck and neck, if you will. It's going to be really interesting to see how we both fare in this round 1 race. Doug is going to leave the inside open. I'm going to slide up there like I'm going to pass, leaving him room on the outside. I know I can't get the pass done, but my intent was to send a message. I really want to finish ahead of you in this race. As I exit the hairpin turn, you'll notice that the field is starting to leave me behind. I feel this is a direct result of being on field map setting 2 rather than 1. Keep in mind, this is an hour-long race, and I'm planning on a 1 pit stop strategy. This means I need to make a 30-minute window before I can come in for fuel. In order to do that, I need to conserve at least a little bit of fuel. It looks like Doug and the Corvette got into it a little bit, scrapping over position. This is a blessing for me, as this puts me in 8th place. However, I do feel this is short-lived. Skipping ahead to lap 2 on the front straight, you can see that the Corvette has already reeled me in. This has got to be due to a couple of factors, I'm assuming. The field map setting difference between the two cars, as well as that American muscle V8 torque. Heading into the S's, my car, the 8.6, should have a slight advantage here, given that it's a lighter and more nimble car. However, the Corvette with that V8 torque is gonna start reeling me in the moment we come through this turn. Should be able to apply that power and start to reel me back in with no problem whatsoever. As we crest the hill, I'm going to take a quick look back at my mirror just to see where he is. Cut the corner there, get my downshift done. Love hearing the pop of that 8.6. And I look up again and I see that he is right there on my tail. I know he's really close and he's probably going to make a move on the inside. I'm going to run my line anyways. See what his reaction is. He decides to hold. Use that torque to make a move on the outside for the next set of turns. Looking in my mirror, I can see he's right there. He is indeed making the move. I am going to make him earn it, however, making him take the long way around the track. The Corvette is on my left-hand side. I'm going to try to outbrake him. That didn't work. I'm going to fall in line so Doug cannot take the position away from me as well. Again, I cover the inside, then fall back in line to the draft, and be thankful that I only lost the 1 position rather than 2. Currently, I find myself in 9th place rather than 10th. Doug is really close behind, and he's pretty much in my draft as well as the Corvette's draft, and we're a lot closer than the video shows. Here you can get a better view of how close we really are. I have an opportunity to make a move here, but instead I opt to fall in line. And here you're going to see the Corvette just start to pull away. Again, fuel map setting 2 versus 1, and that big V8 muscle, there's just no comparison to that torque. Coming up on lap 7 here, you can see the Corvette has really put some distance between us. However, I do know I'm faster than he is coming into the sets of turns. I'm going to try to close up some ground on him. Unfortunately, I just caught the outside edge exiting turn 2 with the left rear tire.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
You can hear how hard that impact was. That cost me a position. Doug got by me, as well as this driver here. Now I find myself in last place. Moving on to lap 10. the skies decided to grace us with a torrential downpour. So even though the road is wet, I still have traction for the moment. However, my question is for how long? Especially with it really coming down on the car, you can hear it. I need to take a look at the weather radar to get an idea of what we're looking at. But I also need to focus on staying on track as we come into the Casino Triangle. I'm going to focus on that first. There we go. Now that I'm in the low gears, I need to make sure I get through my gearing first. As soon as I shift into 5th, I'm going to take a look at the weather radar, get an idea of what we're looking at. Zoom out here. Okay, it's going to pass, but standing water on the track, I missed the brake zone. I didn't adjust correctly. As a result, I go off. But now that the track is really wet, I'm really fighting for traction. I'm going to try taking this a little bit slower. That's just not happening. I'm hydroplaning right off the track. Fortunately, I'm not the only one. There's someone ahead of me as well. I'm going to change my fuel map setting to 6. Use that as a poor man's traction control. That's also going to allow me to save some fuel. There's my rival, Doug. It's worth noting that some of the drivers actually went into the pit for tires. One of them is going to be coming up on me pretty quickly. He's already gotten by Doug. Here he is. Clearly I'm still fighting for control of the car. The track is incredibly wet, as evident by the mist that's coming off the tires in the car in front of me. Take it nice and easy. Still fighting for control of the car. Slow it down just a little bit more. Clearly not the ideal conditions to race in, but it is what it is. Coming into the hairpin turn, I decide that I'm going to take the wet line, I'm going to take the outside line, use the debris that's out there as additional traction. You can really see how wet the track is. Yep, and you can see the tires just kicking up all that mist into the air. Track conditions are incredibly wet. Just doing my best to keep it on track. So Doug is behind me, but the driver that's behind him, Petrol, did make a pit stop for wet weather tires. He's going to get by Doug here. It's just a matter of time. This is a high-speed turn. Going to take it nice and easy. Car sliding. Lots of water on the track. I overshoot the turn here. Petrol got by Doug. Now he's on me. At this point, I realize I really need to change my fuel map setting. I'm going to bump it up to fuel map setting 3. Don't think I can quite bump it up to 2 just yet. The track seems a little too wet. Obviously some light there. The track is still incredibly wet. However, I'm going to do my best to hang with Petrolhead as long as I can. We're going to skip ahead to further in lap 12. And I know for a fact that the Corvette opted to get wet weather tires as well. I realize that the track is drying out, and I'm going to change my fuel map setting back to level 2 because the dry race line is starting to dry out. I should have enough grip to be able to maintain control of the car. The Corvette, however, is closing ground quite quickly. You can see how wet the track is there. Some parts are wet, some parts are dry. The Corvette's going to have the advantage here, but the real question is for how long. You can definitely see that the racing line is drying out quite quickly. However, you can also see that the Corvette is closing ground incredibly quickly as well. Should be interesting to see how it's going to play out with the Corvette and myself. Moving on to lap 13, and it's decision time. I still have 2 laps of tires and fuel left, however I am quickly approaching my pit window. I'm not really sure what I want to do, and I don't have long to think about it. Decisions. Let's stick with the original pit strategy and see what that yields. So you can see right there that Doug is approximately 2 seconds behind me at this point. I come into the pit and I have 18% fuel left on board. Doug, on the other hand, has 8. The Corvette also came in. I'm guessing he's going to change tires, but he's got 76% fuel left. Waiting to reach the pit stop here, and as soon as that happens, fresh tires and then take on fuel. Car's back down on the ground, now we can refuel. You can really see how long it's taken to refuel, and the Corvette's already out of the pits. I'm gonna have a hard time chasing them down. Alright, and we are on our way. That took longer than I had hoped for, but that also means that everyone is gonna have a long pit stop as well. Upon exiting the pits, I find myself in 9th place. Doug took longer for his refuel. He's approximately 7 seconds back. You can barely see him right there. We'll see how this plays out. Moving on to lap 17. In a little over 3.5 laps, Doug has closed considerable ground from 7 seconds back to being just under 2 seconds at this point. Doug is incredibly fast, as I said before. There's a reason why he's my rival. But we're going to go on board with my car and take a look back at Doug, get an idea of exactly how fast he really is. As we head to the Casio Triangle, Doug is going to close up considerable ground on me as we come into the brake zone. Really makes me wonder as to how much tire does he actually have left. He's got to be pushing really, really hard to keep up. Not saying that he's slow by any means, he's definitely fast. However, I do wonder how much of his tires he's already sacrificed. We're going to jump on board with Doug and watch him chase me down and listen to that motor just purr. It's worth noting that Doug is actually on a controller, not a wheel. But you can really see how smooth he is on that controller, which I gotta say is incredibly impressive. The more I learn about Doug and his driving style and what he's capable of without a wheel, but with a controller, the more I admire him. Very smooth. You don't hear a whole lot from the tires either. Oh yeah, just that's impressive, especially with the controller. I mean, I know there's guys out there that run the controller, but that's incredibly impressive. You don't have the precision of a steering wheel. Very, very impressive. Coming into the Casio Triangle, looks like Doug was able to close up ground on me again. Yeah, it does look that way. Given that Doug has reeled me in a little bit, let's jump on board my car, looking back, bumper cam, get a listen to how my 8.6 sounds, and watch how smooth he is on that controller. He was able to really close in ground on me right there. That's impressive. I'm still marveling at exactly how smooth he is on the controller. It's just impressive. It really is. Heading for the downlap curve here, though. I'm getting a run on the turn. Sounded like he had to lift the last time coming through the turn there, so I'm able to open up some ground on him here. Doug managing to keep it under control. Again, that's impressive. And he didn't lose a whole lot of time either. Coming into the hairpin. Get a nice look at that front end on that Lexus. That is a nice paint job, I gotta say. But I'm going to continue to run my race. I am making sure that I conserve fuel and tires at this point. Still running fuel map setting 2. I would assume that Doug is as well. Or maybe he's just conserving fuel in his own way. He was really able to close up some ground there in the spoon curve, but really just lost it in the exit. Not really sure what happened there. Using all of the track. Heading into the Casio Triangle again. Doug closing ground, coming into the brake zone. Really nice. But we're going to go ahead and skip out to lap 21. Again, Doug still right there, right on my tail, coming into the Casio Triangle again. He's falling behind. Looks like Doug's having some sort of technical issue. Don't really know what the deal is, but you can see that he runs wide into the grass, makes contact with the wall, and then scurries back to the track. It's really unfortunate. I was really looking forward to having a really good run with him in this race. Skipping ahead to lap 23, I find myself in 7th place with 5 laps of fuel on board, but only 4 laps left in the race. I'm going to turn my fuel map setting from 2 to 1. Gonna go full send, and we're gonna see what happens from here. The nearest car ahead of me is 15 seconds. I seriously doubt I'll be able to catch him, but we'll see what happens. Lap 27, the final lap. You can see that my fuel on board, I have 0.7 laps of fuel left, with only 4% actually on board. However, my biggest concern is really that right front tire. You can see that it's almost completely red. Red is bad, by the way. Coming through this turn here, it's going to take quite the punishment, and right there, I have nothing left. And that tire is absolutely toast. Fortunately, this lap is nearly over. This race is nearly over. However, the next turn is a left-hand high-speed turn, and that right front tire is not really going to be able to help. Coming through the turn, I have to slow down even more than I normally would to keep the car on track. That's it. We're done. Hitting the brakes for the Casio Triangle for the last time. I missed my apex. The tires are just not offering me the traction I need. That's it. This race is over. Across the finish line with 1% fuel left on board. 1%. And that right front tire is toast. Finished in 7th place. Doug manages to finish in 8th. And the Corvette finished in 9th. All in all, it was a good race. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next race, which will be in Barcelona. Full track, no chicane. Should be an interesting race. Just collecting my winnings here. 116.6 miles for the day. Earned me a 6-star roulette ticket. Nice. Here is the driver point standings as well as the team point standings. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at that if you wish. But as for me, I am out. Have a great day. Hope to see you on the track. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.